Yeah, we're on the farm today. I know you guys always enjoy our farm videos. We always have a good time here. It's going to be a beautiful day. Going to shell some corn here on our property in southeastern Illinois. Randall's washing his windshield, trying to get all video ready. Looking forward to it. Let's get started. Before the camera got here, we did a little work on the head here. That's why we've got it all tilted. That's an interesting feature about the way these heads work. There's a kind of a twist mechanism, and with these right here, the head can automatically twist to meet the terrain. So sometimes the wheels of the machine are not at the same terrain angle when you're on certain unlevel ground, right? So each end controls the twist, and it keeps it balanced such that those flippers are controlling the tilt of the combine. This middle one then controls the height of the head. So when you're running the head, it needs to run, and you've got, I think, 2 or 3 different adjustments you can set. It's a little electric potentiometer here to measure the angle here, right, on this little flapper, and that's how the header height is automatically adjusted. So the middle one controls the height, the end ones control the angles. So Randall, this is the first time I've been in this combine. It's new this year for us. Right?
New to us, yep.
Tell me a little about it. I mean, it's not a new combine.
Nope, 2019.
And you guys never buy new combines.
None in my memory.
Right. Why is that?
Well, kind of like a new car, right? It's a lot higher, and you lose more value in that first few years than you do in the second 5 years or 10.
There seems like a lot of similarities with a new car. It also wears out kind of like a new car too. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in these things, and even though they're incredibly expensive, they depreciate pretty rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is a 2019. It's harvested 3 seasons before you got it.
That'd be right.
So this is the same field we harvest almost every time on video. It seems like you always save this field for when we come visit.
Well, we worked hard at it this time to save it for you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. But you were here for planting of it this spring, and thought it'd be fun to have it here for harvest.
Yeah. If you missed that video, you can go check it out. I rode along with Randall while we were planting this spring, and it's turned out to be a pretty good year for crops. Probably one of the best years you've ever had.
Yeah, I'd say so. Our field so far has been a field record for us.
Wow, that's rare to say. A record in every field. The weather was just perfect.
Couldn't ask for better. Dad's been saying we've been Goldilocks all summer.
Goldilocks. Yeah, it wasn't as hot perhaps as a lot of summers, and it wasn't as dry as most summers.
Yeah, heavy on the dry.
Yeah. You really didn't have any drought stress this year.
Very little, and that's pretty unusual for us. Usually we're kind of here in the little miniature Sahara Desert along the Mount Airy Blacktop.
Yeah, we've talked before, the soil type here is not very good at holding moisture. So it's nothing like the central parts of Illinois, Indiana, and of course most of Iowa, where the soil is just much more fertile and can hold moisture a lot better. This ground just doesn't handle dry weather at all.
It takes a lot of water for this ground to raise a good crop, and this year we got it.
Yeah. Now, of course, even with a lot of water, it's not going to produce like those better soils. But if it has perfect water, it'll produce pretty good.
Yeah.
I think there's other things too, though. I think the hybrids continue to get better, meaning the genetics of the seed corn that you plant.
Yes.
Is continuing to improve.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of thought maybe that would stop at some point. They would kind of get that as far along as they could, and
so far it's gotten better.
Yeah, it's accelerated, really, hasn't it, on yield potential, especially when things in not perfect conditions, right? Maybe the yields for perfect conditions aren't going up as fast, but in these non-perfect conditions, they've got hybrids that'll withstand that drought a lot better and handle other imperfections.
Yeah.
Thanks for washing your windows there, Randall.
It helped, I think. This combine's got a 26-foot auger. The other one was 22.5 foot. So it's got more reach. So Terry had to learn a different row to drive in beside us.
Okay.
And that extra length got us a little more height. So we don't get the auger down in the grain cart near as bad as we used to.
Oh, that's a big help.
Because that was a major problem.
We would
before.
cross a ditch and sometimes get the auger right down in the ditch.
Yeah, and then shove a boot off the end of the auger if you didn't get it shut off. And that was a lot of frustration sometimes.
Any other changes or benefits you found to this combine?
This one's got the ProDrive transmission and 5-speed feeder house. The other one was a variable speed feeder house that had variable speed pulley sheaves that
Weren't as reliable in the long term.
No, that was...
So this one's got 5 distinct speeds on the...
Yeah, 5 speeds. They call it a multi-speed, I think.
Okay. And then when you say ProDrive transmission, is that the drive transmission?
Yeah.
Okay, so is it it's still hydrostatic drive, or is it not?
It works different. It's got more pulling power. I don't know how to describe what it is. At first I thought it was an actual CVT, IVT type transmission, the infinitely variable.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain it is. But it sure drives a lot different than the other one did. When we first day in this thing, it just will be in a different color, different everything, because there's nothing about the thing that feels the same as a John Deere S770 to drive it.
Okay. This is an S770.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily fully understand the technology of the transmission, but you're saying you feel like you get a lot more power to the ground.
Yeah.
A lot more positive
and
feel.
Responsive. It's a lot more responsive to handle movement than what the regular 3-speed hydrostat is.
Yeah. So sometimes with a hydrostatic transmission, you push the handle, or in tractor case the pedals forward, and you just hear a line.
Yeah.
You don't see the movement as much.
Yeah. This one's making something happen. But this is a 2-speed instead of a 3-speed. The other combines, and you can still get that 3-speed hydrostat, but you can't get the 3-speed hydrostat with the 5-speed feeder house. So all 5-speed feeder house models have the ProDrive transmission.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the connection is, but I'm sure it's got to do with hydraulics and everything.
It is interesting. There's a lot of configuration, a lot of different options on these machines. It's not like you just go buy an S770 and it's an S770 and all the same, right?
Right. This one is as close to the bigger ones as you can get. This is basically it's spec'd the same as all the standard features of a 780 and 790, but still with the 9-liter engine instead of the 13.5. So we get better fuel economy with all the rest of the same. Everything else inside is nearly the same as the Class 8 and Class 9 combine.
Okay.
I expect there'd be a little more capacity to the certain other cleaning. I think cleaning's the same.
Okay. So the numbering system, the S and the 7 indicate the series, and
Correct.
then the 70 or 80 or 90 is the size of the machine.
And they make a 60 also.
Okay, so they make an S760, S770, 780, 790.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step up from there is a total different generation machine, right? That's
Right.
the X9.
X9 1000 and 1100.
Okay, so
For
they have
Class
a Class
10
10
and-
and a Class 11
Yeah.
combine. So over the years, it seems like most manufacturers have kind of settled into these classes of combines, they call them. I think that's a nice way to articulate this. You don't just go by horsepower, or you've got
That's a lot of what the classes are determined by. Is horsepower and cleaning area.
Cleaning
so that's
area,
what
cleaning
makes
capacity.
them fit in the class.
Yeah, so I don't really know how they spec them per se, but there's a lot of different components of the system, like the clean grain elevator, for instance.
I think the
there's a certain
790's got a
capacity.
bigger clean grain elevator, but the 780 and 790 have the old Massey rethrasher on the return elevator. That's one of the main. That's what I think gives them a little bit more because
Usable capacity.
Yeah, because all the returns doesn't have to be threshed by the rotor. It's got the. That's
So you
probably
alluded
bad thing
to it a
say.
little bit. You kind of mentioned that you've got most of the features of the 780, 790, most of them, but you went with the smaller horsepower, the 9-liter engine, and you did that mainly for fuel economy.
Correct.
And for your applications, you really don't feel like the trade-off in size was valuable?
Great big soybeans are the main thing we need horsepower in. The combine is not generally our bottleneck. The trucking right now is our bottleneck, so a bigger machine is not going to help us get done with harvest faster.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've talked about that in prior years. I remember talking about how it's a full kind of like an assembly line, in this case a disassembly line, I suppose, for the crop, and it's the combine itself. You know, even that's got multiple components: the size of the header, the number of rows, the total row width, whatever, the speed that you drive the combine, all that. Then there's the grain cart to get it away from the combine, and then there's the trucks to get it away from the grain cart, and then there's either the home storage and the grain bins and how fast you can empty the trucks, or how close you are to the nearest terminal, the nearest elevator, we call it, to where you. So there's so many parts of this assembly line that upsizing just one piece of it doesn't really make much difference.
Right, but you got to work on where the weak point is to improve efficiency.
Your overall efficiency, yeah.
Right now, another truck driver is what would really help us, and that's why you're here, because you'll be able to run the combine, and I'll be able to get in the truck when you go to haul to the elevator.
Yeah, so that's why we're kind of getting some of this, just talking together here, right here, while we're getting started, because until we get this kind of assembly line rolling this morning, you can run the combine and help show me any new features we got here on the new machine. And then once we get rolling, you're going to be trucking, man.
Yeah.
Keep you busy, buddy.
Especially tomorrow, or when we get done here. We're going to, should be maybe a little better field, and it's all going, and it's all going to elevator.
Yeah, it's further away from home too, so it's going to be a few more miles to drive. All that stuff adds up. It's quite fascinating. That's why we do the same fields each year when I visit, is because those are the fields that typically yield pretty well. Well, with the exception of ours here. We do ours because it's ours.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it gives you a continuation of everything we've done in prior years and prior videos.
And then what we'll do tomorrow and maybe the next day is some of this better yielding and further away from the elevator or away from home, and where we require a longer round trip for the trucks. So, you know, I see that with some of the big farmers. They have truckers that truck all year long. So they will truck during harvest season to the grain bins, the local storage on the farm, and then all winter and all summer, with the exception of planting season, they will truck to the terminal, to the elevator, all summer.
Yeah,
so
pulling out of the grain bins.
It almost seems to me like grain farmers have become almost more a trucking company sometimes than field work. It's kind of fascinating. Well, we talked about the moisture and the climate. We can't really control that very much. But what else can we do, Randall, to try to optimize our yields?
Well, there's corn hybrids, lots of different corn hybrids. We've seen that in the plot in the previous videos.
So there's a lot of different seed breeders, I guess we would call them. You know, the companies that sell the hybrid corn, and what they do is they cross two inbreds to make what we call a hybrid, and then you grow the hybrid. You can't save your own seed and expect it to grow again in corn because of the way this inbreeding works. So they've done this for well over 100 years. And it used to, and in fact, I think we've shown in one video where a small farmer would use an open pollinated corn. So that would be something where you'd save the biggest ears or something and try to do your own seed selection even there. But this is crossbreeding two different parent varieties together to generate these hybrids. So there's companies like Pioneer Hybrids, which is Corteva now, Corteva, and then there's DeKalb, which is
now Bayer,
from Bayer at this point, right? Those are the two biggies. There's
AgReliant, that's AgriGold and LG.
Yeah,
and
Beck's right around where I live is a big producer of hybrids. So
and Syngenta.
And so you've got all the different brands to choose from, and then the fascinating part is that each brand has a bunch of different hybrids in their lineup. Now, some of these hybrids share some of the same parents, so there's a lot to study.
Yeah, that's what I spend a lot of time. I enjoy seed corn and studying them, so I spend a lot more time probably than I should looking at them and comparing plot data. And
so we find that some of these different breeders have some hybrids that are either similar or identical to each other, right? And then you have other breeders which have unique parents in their hybrids, and so they're totally unique. Is that
there's
correct?
several companies that buy the rights to sell a hybrid. They're Bex XL and Burris Power Plus, and some of Seed Consultants is Pioneer Genetics, that Pioneer didn't think fit a broad enough area to put in their lineup. So they might be really good in a smaller area, and the smaller seed companies are willing to go through and produce them and sell them. So that's what some of those.
And sometimes they're not buying rights to the complete hybrid, they're buying rights to one of the inbreds, and maybe they might breed it with another different inbred to try to make just something a little bit different and seek what they can to optimize, like you say, for a region. And the other aspect on the hybrid selection is really fascinating to me is that these hybrids, when they first develop them, they peak, and then over a period of maybe 4, 5, 6 years, they will decline a little bit in yields, or somebody else will supersede them.
Yeah, I think it's the newer stuff ends up better. I don't think the other actually falls off. I think that it just falls off relative to the newer ones.
That's interesting. We have actually seen like some really old hybrids at some of the shows. They've had some of those and they've planted them, and they haven't yielded hardly anything. So there is something though to the tailing off.
Maybe
they
so.
become less disease resistant. Where they just, we had some serious diseases in the 70s and 80s that almost wiped out farmers here in the Midwest.
And it really changed corn then. That really changed the breeding.
Yeah. So you have, you plant everything now side by side. So you've got a 24-row planter. You plant 12 rows with one hybrid and 12 rows beside it with another hybrid. And then when we harvest, you can see with the yield monitor here, which of those hybrids performs differently, and you can get essentially real-time tests, not just in one area of the field, but across the whole field, or even multiple fields of different soil types.
Right.
So you're doing ongoing testing year after year. Yeah. The unfortunate part is you have a delay then, and so and every year is different. It's
for sure.
It's not
something that does really well one year may not stand out at all the next. And that makes it hard to, you gotta, that's why you can't base all of your decisions off of the previous year, multiple years and multiple locations. To really should have more input on your decisions than just one location. And that's why we didn't do the corn plot this year. We did side-by-sides on the whole farm.
Yeah, I actually think it's something I'm highly in favor of, is these side-by-sides on the whole farm versus only 6 or 12 rows or whatever of a given hybrid. I think we learn so much more.
Yeah.
It's easy to make an excuse on 6 or 12 rows. You can say, well, it happened to be an area that drowned it out a little bit, or we just didn't, for whatever reason, we didn't get as much of a stand. We didn't get as many stalks coming up out. We don't know. But when we're doing whole field averages, and we can look at regions of a field and across multiple fields, we feel like we learn a lot more.
That's for sure.
So I noticed foxtail here. So that kind of brings up weed control. We have, if it were all foxtail like that, we would have no yield.
That's for sure. You
Now,
probably could see the monitor there showing, well, we've gone from down to 25 bushel there in that ditch.
Yeah, from 200 bushel to 25 bushel per acre. Yeah. Now you'll see here the weed control was perfect. Now, there's a good reason for that foxtail there. It's not because we had a mess there. We actually don't spray. Tom actually doesn't spray right in the base of those ditches, and that's to help with erosion. So overall, it looks to me like you've had a fabulous weed kill this year with your with your herbicides. And
yeah,
that
the
really...
crop was healthy, and that helped shade the ground too.
Okay.
I think that had a lot to do with our weed control this year.
Before dumping in the bin right there, Tom will take this home to the scales. They'll get an accurate weight for better accounting purposes. I hope you're enjoying this perspective. Off in the distance there, you can actually catch a glimpse of the grain bins at my mother's house, where I, of course, grew up.
Well, we don't have a truck here, and the grain cart's almost full. So it gets really a little bit more tricky to do the unload on the go when the grain cart's full. So the tractor driver works with me here. We're going to get the front of it as full as we can. Now, we don't have the automated sink technology. There's a reason for that. It's cost, yeah, but some of it's technology. And yeah, we're almost full. That's all I got. I don't know that I'll be able to make it to the other end. The hopper on this combine holds, I think, about 400 bushels, a little more than 400 bushels at, what is it, 56 pounds per bushel. I don't know, that would be 22,000 pounds, 24,000 pounds, something like that. It's a pretty heavy load to add to the weight of the combine. "70 acres, 69 acres. So I was driving the combine, Randall Tom were in the trucks, Terry was in the grain cart.
Yippee.
So that's good stuff. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a beautiful day, it was a lot of fun. But as usual, we finished up after dark. Thanks for watching,
Hey,
everybody.
the day's not done yet.
Oh, you mean we're gonna do more?
Oh, yeah.
You're not gonna do more. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on
Tractor Time with Tim.
He told them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field."